You've felt it. This life doesn't fit. And deep down, you know it's not the only one. There's a version of you that's freer, wealthier, sharper, more alive. But you've been trained to stay loyal to the loop you're in. Same thoughts, same choices, same emotions, same outcome. You think that loop is you, but it isn't. It's just a program. And here's the trap. Every time you obsess over the past or fear the future, you're leaking power out of the only place reality can actually change. The present moment. That's where shifting begins. Not spiritually, not metaphorically, literally. Because reality isn't some fixed solid block. It's a field of probability responding to observation, attention, and expectation. You don't just experience reality, you participate in generating it. And when you shift your internal frequency, you stop waiting for change and start causing it. This isn't self-help. This is system override. You probably had moments where you look around and think, there's no way this is all there is. There has to be more. You're right. The version of your life you keep seeing in your mind is not fantasy. It already exists as a potential. The question is not, does it exist, but are you tuned to it? Think of reality like a spectrum of stations. Every version of you already exists as a frequency. You don't create those stations. You tune into them. Most people stay locked on the same one until they die. Not because they're cursed, but because they never learned how tuning works. What we call reality is not an objective feed. It's filtered through consciousness. That's why two people can walk into the same room and live two completely different worlds. One sees opportunity, the other sees threat. Same room, different lens. You're not reacting to life, you're reacting to the lens you're wearing. And the wild part, that lens doesn't just color what you see, it influences what shows up. At the quantum level, particles exist as possibilities, waves, until they're observed. The famous double-slit experiment showed that the simple act of observing changes how particles behave. No observer. They act like waves, pure potential. Observer present. They snap into a specific pattern, like they decide on a path. Observation collapses possibility into reality. Your attention is not passive. It's a trigger. Think about what that means for your life. If the foundation of reality is probabilistic and responsive to observation, then your focus, your belief, your expectation are not harmless. They are creative forces. Every time you obsess over what's missing, replay failure, or worship your limitations, you're not just stuck. You're selecting. You're freezing the same timeline in place. Physics has a name for this, the quantum Zeno effect. Continuously measuring a system can literally keep it from changing. Translate that into your life. Constantly staring at what's wrong can lock it in. Tesla told you, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. He wasn't being poetic. He meant it. Your consciousness is a transmitter. Thoughts and emotions are signals. Jung told you about synchronicity, those impossible coincidences that show up once you shift internally. Modern neuroscience shows your brain doesn't just record reality. It predicts it, filters it, and feeds you what it expects to see. So quantum physics, psychology, and neuroscience whisper the same message. What you repeatedly observe, emotionally believe, and identify with becomes the world you live in. Quantum shifting is simply this: deliberately changing your internal state, your thoughts, emotions, identity, focus, until you lock onto a different version of reality that was already there. Not fantasy, alignment. Imagine every potential version of your life as radio stations. One where you're broke, anxious, and stuck. One where you're clear, resourced, and powerful. One where you've built the body, business, relationships, and inner peace you say you want. All those stations are broadcasting. The music is playing right now. You don't force the music to exist. You change the dial. You don't become worthy. You become tuned. How do you change the station? Not by dreaming harder, but by shifting who you are being. Neville Goddard said, "Change your conception of yourself and you will automatically change the world in which you live." Reality doesn't respond to what you wish for. It responds to who you are. If you want abundance, but you live as someone who expects scarcity, you are a mismatch. If you want love, but you carry the identity of someone who is unchosen, you are tuned to rejection. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are calibrated to. Science backs more of this than you think. Neuroplasticity shows your brain rewires according to what you focus on and feel repeatedly. Your nervous system doesn't really distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones. If you emotionally rehearse a future state, your brain and body begin to install it as if it's already your normal. Epigenetics shows your gene expression shifts based on your internal environment, your beliefs, emotions, and perceptions. Change your perception, change your biology. Placebo and nocebo prove belief alone can heal or destroy. People get better from sugar pills because they believe they will. Some deteriorate because they believe they're doomed. It's not all in their head. It shows up in their blood, hormones, immune responses. Intention has teeth. Long-term experiments like those at the PR lab and work by researchers like Dean Radin point to something even more unsettling. Focused human intention can subtly skew physical systems. The effect is small but consistent, enough to hint that consciousness is not confined to the skull. It interacts with the field. So when you combine all of this, you get a simple, brutal truth. Your inner world is not a private sandbox. It is a control panel. Quantum shifting is not timeline jumping in a sci-fi sense. Science hasn't validated that. But it is a very real, very measurable pattern. Shift your identity, attention, and emotional frequency, and your perception, decisions, behavior, and outcomes change. Change those long enough and your entire life reconfigures. Let's strip it down into a lean framework. Step 1. Ruthless awareness. You can't change a reality you won't admit you're living in. Write down the story you've been running on autopilot. What you know about money, love, success, your worth. Catch the recurring thoughts. I always mess it up. It never works for me. People like me don't judge them. Just see them. That's your current station. Step 2. Precise target. Better life is not a frequency. Specific is. Define the version of you you're shifting into with brutal clarity. How do they think, feel, move, speak, earn, love, create? Where do they live? What feels normal to them? Script it in present tense as if it's already happening. I wake up calm and focused. My work is meaningful and well paid. I move through the day with grounded confidence. I feel in control of my attention and my energy. You're programming your GPS. Step 3. Emotional match. Thoughts without emotion are weak signals. Emotion charges the field. Your job is to feel now what you think you'll feel when it happens. Gratitude, relief, power, quiet certainty. Use your memories, moments you actually felt proud, safe, loved, as emotional fuel, then blend those feelings into your vision of the future. You're teaching your nervous system that the future you want is familiar, not foreign. Step 4. identity shift in action. This is where fantasy dies and reality bends. Ask daily, what would that version of me do in this situation? Then do that. Not perfectly, consistently. The confident you sends the message, makes the call, sets the boundary. The disciplined you closes the tab, goes to the gym, finishes the work. The abundant you tracks money, respects it, stops acting like a victim of it. Every small action is a vote cast for a new identity. Step 5. Sustained focus. The quantum Zeno effect applied to your life means what you observe repeatedly stabilizes. So you stop feeding the old story with obsessive attention. You limit doom-scrolling drama, victim talk. You surround yourself with reminders of the new frequency, environment, people, content, habits. You don't hypnotize yourself once. You recode daily. Step 6. Detachment with trust. Clinging broadcasts lack. If I don't have it yet, I'm not whole. You're not begging the field, you're partnering with it. Once you've sent the signal through thought, emotion, and action, you release the timeline and the how. You move through your day present, not desperate. You act like the order is placed and on its way, not like someone standing at the door shaking. Step 7. Read the feedback. Reality will answer first inside, then outside. You'll notice emotional shifts, less reactivity, more calm under pressure, less obsession with what others think. You'll notice contrast, old patterns resurfacing, tests, people trying to pull you back. That's not failure. That's the old code protesting. And you'll notice synchronicities, the right book, the random opportunity, the coincidental contact, the idea that drops in at the exact time. These are not accidents. They're echoes of your new station. The biggest trap is turning all of this into wishful thinking. If I think about it, it'll just show up. No. Shifting is not sitting on the couch visualizing and calling it work. Thinking is the spark. Behavior is the proof. Another trap is demanding instant results. You've been wired into your current identity for years. You don't undo that in a weekend. Just like training, the roots grow in the dark before anyone sees the tree. If you keep pulling up the seed to check progress, you kill it. And no, quantum shifting does not replace hard work. It makes hard work count. Effort from a misaligned identity is self-sabotage. Effort from an aligned identity compounds. You still build. You still fail. You still iterate. But without the constant drag of doubt and self-betrayal, the hardest pill to swallow, if it's not working, most of the time it's because you're trying to get the outcome without becoming the person you're chasing results while clinging to the old self-image. You want the evidence before you commit to the identity. Reality doesn't work that way. The people you call lucky are often the ones who chose to show up as if it was already true long before it was. That's the uncomfortable edge. You shift first. Reality catches up later. So here's the core. You are not condemned to the life you're in. You are not at the mercy of some rigid, fixed reality. You are at the mercy of the identity you refuse to let go of. Shift that, and the universe you experience shifts with it. Not because you escaped this world, but because you finally started using the controls that were in your hands the whole time. But here is the question few dare to ask. What if the field you're trying to command still answers to God?
You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me.